Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Well, after the rain yesterday, the sun has come out and it's really hot and humid, very steamy weather. It is Succulent Sunday today and I'm going to be working on a variety of succulent bonsai. The first trees I'll be working on today are these tiger aloes. They're planted in a Sarah Rayner bonsai pot. Quite an attractive looking planting. Some of these leaves are getting very, very large, and you can see this one is growing right over top of the plant beside it. I want to remove some of these lower leaves today, kind of exposing more trunk and getting the trees a little more compact. All right, here I go. I'm going to cut off these lower leaves. So I just use, my bonsai scissors, and I come in and I just kind of prune it fairly close to the trunk, but not right against the trunk. Taking off the leaf like that. There's that sticky aloe gel, which is great for sunburns. That gives this plant a little more light. There's a faded leaf here I can take away. Now on this tree, I just want to leave a few of the upper leaves. So I'll remove these larger, older leaves. Again, kind of getting my trunks a little taller with every pruning and giving each tree a bit more light. So I'll take this one off also. Like that. So you can see how that opens up the space. So I'll do the same for this lower leaf here. I'll remove that. And it comes off. This one can come off here. Like that. I'll take these ones off the back. So I'll come in and cut away to this one. And these leaf stubs, the remains of the leaf here, they dry up and they don't fall off, but they just dry up and kind of become part of the trunk. Ooh, these spines are sharp on these leaves. And I think one more here. Like that. So you can see the trunk is getting higher on this aloe. Now on the one beside it here, I'll get rid of this leaf. Like that. This one's growing directly over top of the tree beside it, so I'll get rid of that one. Like that. I think these two leaves are too large. We'll get rid of those. I will. Like that. So that's cleaned up the front of the planting. I can get rid of this one that's growing inwards here. Like that. And then around back, I've got two aloes here. So again, I'll remove all the lower leaves, keeping just a few on top. It was also getting very hard to water this planting. You can see how I didn't water underneath the trees here because the leaves were all in the way. And I'll remove the one that's facing the other tree here. Like that. And one more aloe to go. And I think I better remove this one too. So that has got all the aloes pruned up, and you can see how much space there is now. So I'll give them all a good water, and I'll add fertilizer, and I'll really water them deeply. If it was cloudy out and cold, you maybe wouldn't want to water them like thoroughly. You just want to kind of mist the top, and that would be it. So I only water my succulents when I know it's going to be sunny outside for a couple of days. All right, here I go with the watering. So it's very dry on this side, so I'll just kind of give it a light water at first. And as I rotate around, I'll get it deeper and deeper. Now it's running out the drainage holes. Okay, so the aloes are ready to grow once again. After I watered the aloe, I noticed that there is an ant nest in the soil, which often happens with these succulents because you don't keep the soil wet all the time. They tend to build nests. So I hope you can see the ants scurrying around. They've got eggs in their mouth. So there is a fairly simple solution for this. I'll show you what you do. Here's how you can get rid of ants on your bonsai. So I just get an under tray and I place it underneath the tree like that. And then I fill it with water, and it's like a moat around the pot, so ants from the outside can't come into your tree, and the ants that are already in your tree can't go to the outside and get a food source. So the only thing they can eat is insects in your trees, and if you don't have any insects in your trees, it'll cut off their food supply and the colony will just die. So this pot, because it's a succulent, I don't want, a pool of water under the pot, because the pot will soak up the water and keep the soil too moist. So I'll place something underneath the pot so it's elevated above my moat. I'll place this plastic pot upside down on here and place my bonsai pot on top like that, and now I'll fill up the tray with water. I've got my tray of water on the bench, so I'll place my aloe on top now, and that should get rid of my ant problem. Here is the Blue Jay Bonsai Carnage Cam, all the leaves I took off the aloe, and you can see how they've turned red where I cut them. When that gel gets exposed to the air, it turns kind of a purpley red color, which is very interesting. The next plants we'll be looking at are more of an update rather than me doing work on them, and that's my lithops. Here are the lithops. I had no idea lithops could get this large. So here's the size of them now. This one's really, really big. So they split their old skin. You can see it hanging on this one. And there's a few dried up skins over here. And the new growth is quite a bit bigger, like almost double the size. Very interesting. So now I'm going to have to repot these to give them room to grow. They're just getting so large. But interesting. I really like the lithops. The next trees I'll be working on are my Portulacaria afra forest. These trees are styled to look like the giant African Baobab trees. Today they need a pruning. Here is a look at my Portulacaria afra forest. The trees are just starting to gain a ton of vigor as the weather warms up. So you can see on some of these shoots there's branches already forming on them. So today I'm going to prune it back, kind of controlling this new growth. Otherwise, you just get perfectly straight shoots. So you need to prune them back to get movement and taper to the branches. On the main tree here, I left this side of the tree higher because it had a really nice, highly tapered branch here. I didn't have the heart to prune it off again, hard pruning it back. So my plan was to grow this side of the tree a little more than this side, keeping this side compact to kind of balance out and get a nice rounded canopy. As I said, my styling intent for these trees is to style them to look like the giant African Baobab, which means it's got to look like an upside down tree that, this is like the roots extending out into a flat kind of canopy with a slightly rounded top to it. And it's got to be very thick trunk with highly tapered branches going to the tips. So let me begin the pruning. I've got this branch kind of crossing, going to the inside of the tree. I will take that right off, like that. Here I've got a shoot, again, growing in towards the tree. I'm going to take that one right out. I'm going to prune the tip off this one, shortening it, and I'll prune the tip off this one. On this branch I have one going vertical here. I don't want that one, so I'll take that right out. And I have one growing back in towards the tree. I'll take that one out also. So there's, a fair amount of pruning on that one branch. On this branch I've got one growing in again. I'll take that part of it off. And then I've got two stubs here which haven't done anything yet, but maybe they will now that they're getting light and I've cut back this part of the branch. I've got one growing up on the inside of the tree. I'm going to get rid of that. This one branch here, I would like something to form out the front here. So in this case, normally I would prune this branch back a bit, but in this case I'm going to let it grow, gain vigor, get lots of sap flow going up this branch, and then I'll try rescarring the branch and see if I can get a branch to grow out from here somewhere coming towards the front. This part of the tree I will prune back though, so I'll go right short here, like that, and take this one right back to here. Generally I prune these Portulacaria afras back to the first set of leaves. That way you get the most taper and movement to the branch. And you just slowly build the branches up over the years and they can look quite nice. Okay, I've got this branch comes up from behind here, which is good, it flows nice, and then it divides one branch to the right, one to the left, and one vertical. Well, none of them are really that flowing, but I will take, I'm going to take the one off here. It crosses this trunk line, so I'll take this one off. So I've got it dividing from 1 to 2 now, and I will shorten this one back, and I'll shorten this one back. It's not the greatest branch, that one, but that's as much as I can do to it for now. I got some coming out front here. I will prune to a downward facing leaf, a vertical leaf and a downward facing one. So I'll get one branch that goes upwards and one that comes downwards. I'll keep my downwards one and prune off the upwards one. So that way I'll get some nice movement to that branch. It won't just be horizontal, it'll have some up and down movement to it also. Here's a shoot coming off here. I actually don't like this shoot at all. I've got, a nice branch that fans out here and one here. I don't need this one, so I'm taking it right off. Like that. I have one coming up the back here. I will prune it short and maybe get rid of it. I think I'll get rid of it because it's growing back towards the tree. I just want this branch to fan outwards. There's one shooting straight up here, and again this is one I don't want, so I'll take it right out. Like that. So everything is fanning out from the center of the tree now. I have a shoot on the back here I'll get rid of. It's going back in towards the tree. There's another one in here I'll get rid of. That kind of cleans out the center of the tree a bit. Now, you can see the height difference that this, thick trunk is about up to here. This side I pruned it back shorter, so I need to develop the thickness in this branch over on this side. So I will let some of this grow, and I'm not going to let the one growing vertically here, so I'll take that out. But these other two branches I will let grow, and that'll help thicken this up, this part of it up, and I'll get a nice transition from this thick trunk line tapering up to some finer branch tips. I will continue the pruning. I have a branch here, it comes out, and I have a branch to the front, one to the back, and then the branch keeps extending. So I'm going to prune off the one poking straight out the front. That divides from 1 to 2 now, and then I'll shorten this branch back. I have a horizontal branch here, I'll prune back. I have one growing towards the inside here. That can come out. Now, there's another one here going to the inside that can be taken right out. Like that. Okay. So these ones up here are going in a nice direction. I want to encourage those to develop, so I won't touch those. But I do have one that's crossing. So I have 2 good branches here, but this one's not very good. So I'm going to take that one off. So it divides from 1 to 2. Cleaning that structure up. I've got one coming out the back here. I don't want it to get too thick, so I'll prune it off right here. Like that. When I do chops on these trunks, I prune halfway through a segment, and you can see the remains of the segment. They die back to the next ring. So I'm just peeling off the sort of decayed matter. And you can see there's the end of a segment, and it's a nice clean healing, or a nice clean cut. Or that's where it died back to, the start of the next segment. So I just thought I'd clean out that debris. I'll try and do the same up here, get rid of the organic matter above the ring, because that holds water in, and you don't want water around your cut points. There, so that's cleaned up. There's a bit of organic matter up here I can clean up. And up here, it's back to a segment. That's all looking good. There. All those cut points are cleaned up nicely. Now let's continue here. I have, if you see in between these two branches, I have one growing up the middle, which is nice. I want something growing in the middle of this tree, so I'll definitely keep that. However, I've got some branches coming off of it. There's one that goes to the right hand side in here that crosses behind this trunk, so I'm going to remove that one, keeping the branch that's growing more upright. It's right beside it, this one here. And off of this branch, I have one going to the inside here. I'll take that off. Don't want anything kind of growing back in towards the center of the tree. Want everything to fan outwards. Okay, and then so this center leader part, I want that to thicken up, so I'm not going to prune that at all. And I'm wondering about the one on the angle here. It kind of goes behind the other trunk. I don't think I need it. So I'll prune it off short. I'll keep it as a short branch for now, and decide in the future if I want to keep it permanently or if it's going to go. So coming off of that, I have another branch, and you can see the leader coming off here of that branch. I'm going to keep this part of it, and I'm going to prune it back to here, taking the tip off that branch. And then there's a segment that grows vertically that I'm going to get rid of totally, because I don't want a branch going up here. So that vertical segment can come out. So everything is flowing quite nicely now. My only branch I have to prune now is this one, and I'm just taking a look at it. It is interfering. Let me just show you. So this branch here is kind of interfering with the one coming out here. So I think I want to keep this part of it and either prune this one back short to here, or maybe even take it off. And I think in this case I'm going to take it off. I would like some branch growing out the back, but there's no buds in that area. So I'll take it off right here. And we'll see, maybe something in the future will grow at the back here. Just going to clean up this segment too. Previous cut point. Just peeling off the decayed wood down to a fresh segment where it's healed and sealed itself. Like that. There's another one here I could clean up. So here's some old pruning stubs. So I just peel it back to the next clean segment, taking that decayed wood off. Here's another one here. My music box just started up all by itself. That's kind of creepy. I've got the main tree in my Portulacaria afra forest pruned up, so I'll work away pruning up the others using similar techniques, and then we'll come back and have a look at the forest. Here's a look at the forest all pruned up for today. I think it looks much more like a miniature baobab forest now. Trees are looking good. I kind of have a blunt end on this tree. I may have to prune that flush, or maybe something will shoot out from that cut point eventually. So the trees in the back are sort of a mini version of the larger trees, trying to give that forest perspective look. The scarring of the trunks is really effective. I'm really pleased with that. And I'm wondering if there's any trees I need to do more scarring on. Maybe some up here. But generally they look pretty good. So this is the forest that Sophie is making a large pot for me. It'll be very exciting to get this forest into a nice pot. It's just in a mica pot right now, which they're good pots. They just don't look the best aesthetically. But, you know, they're great training pots. These are tropical trees, so I feel safe putting it in a clay pot. It gets overwintered indoors, so there's no danger of the pot cracking from frost. Yeah, so that's the trees pruned up for today. Here is a look at the Blue Jay Bonsai Carnage Cam. So here is what I took off today. Quite a bit. Yeah, so exciting. Getting a new pot for it. Getting it arranged, better rocks. I think it'll be sort of the icing on the cake for this planting. I'll put my Portulacaria afra forest back on the bench, and we'll get out another tree, another succulent to work on. The next tree I'll be working on is this old ancient jade that I got from Hong about 25 years ago. Many years ago, this tree came up and then there was a Y shape. It had another thick trunk coming off of here. I cut the trunk off and I smoothed out the cut with my fingernail, making it flush. And you can see how it's skinned over, and you can't even tell there was a branch there, or hardly. It's just almost totally blended in now. I'll show you a close-up of it. There's a close-up of that trunk area. So yeah, it's really blended in nicely. I have got the jade all pruned up. I took it back quite short, reducing all the branches to kind of stubs, to keep all my branching quite fine. I want a lot of taper in the branches and a lot of movement and subdividing, so this will do it. Jades can get a really nice structure to them if you hard prune them every year or so, really concentrating on getting that flowing structure. And I think this tree's on the right track. Here's a look at what I took off the tree. So a lot of this is winter growth, so it has large leaves and kind of large internodes between the branches. When this tree is growing outside in the full sun, the growth is much more compact and the leaves are much more smaller. So that's the reason I pruned it back quite hard today, so I get more compact growth with small leaves on it, and I think it'll look quite nice. Now, if you notice, I planted the tree offset in this round pot a bit, and that was to give space to put either a stone or a leopard here. In the past, I've displayed it with a leopard here, so I'll try and find the leopard and we'll see how it looks. I found several animals, a leopard, a lion, and 2 apes. So I'll try the leopard out first. It's kind of faded. It's more like a black and white leopard now. That kind of blocks your view of the trunk. It would have to be more, how would it be? I guess more like that. I don't know. Maybe behind. Oops. Maybe it would have to be behind, looking kind of towards you like that. Yeah, that would be an okay display. Let's try the lion out next. The lion's getting a little large for this pot, but yeah, it's a little large, I think. Let's try the gorilla out. I don't think it really suits a gorilla. And I think, this is just, again, I don't think it's that suitable. So, yeah, maybe just a tree by itself and a little stone. Let me try a stone next. Maybe just a simple stone beside it and some sand on the top would look best. Yeah, I think something like that. I've moved the jade over here in the succulent corner where it gets lots of sunlight. So it should do well. It should grow in fairly quickly here. The succulents really like growing in this greenhouse. The next tree I'll be working on is my Baobab style jade. In the last video I scarred the trunk up on this jade and it healed quite nicely. There was no problems with doing that procedure on the tree. So today I'll be scarring it up even more and I'll be pruning the top of the tree. I'm going to begin with the pruning on this tree. There's a lot of new branches that are growing in towards the tree. I want it not too wide a canopy, but definitely a little wider. Shallow, a kind of shallow umbrella shape with everything kind of fanning outwards with a lot of movement and taper to the branching. So let's start here. I've got this one branch coming up here. It goes quite vertical and then it cuts in towards the center of the tree. So I don't want the one that cuts in there, so I'll remove that like that. A lot of the leaves on this tree are winter leaves. The new ones are coming in, the summer leaves, and they look much healthier than the old winter needles or leaves that are kind of sunburnt and looking a little old and tired. So that's got one branch pruned up. Now let's keep going. Now on this branch,
it's going out a nice direction, and then it was pruned, and I think instead of getting the branches I wanted, they kind of went vertical. So I'm going to try a pruning procedure once again. So I'm going to prune it right here, and the back one I'm going to prune to here. I'll take these off. I also had some mealy bugs on these in the winter, so you can see some of the white residue left over. I have sprayed them several times since, and that seems to have cured the mealy bug problem. I will spray them again once more today, just to be on the safe side. Now, on this branch here, again, you can see there's one that's shooting back in towards the center of the tree. I'll take that out, like that. And then this one that goes vertical, you can see there's a leaf forming right here, which would fan out nicely. So I definitely want to reduce the height here. So I'm going to try for that leaf. So I'll prune just above there, like that. Kind of a tough cut, but you know. Now, this is the front of the tree, and this one kind of crosses over. So I'm going to take that one out, like that. I've got one that's going vertical here. I'll take that one out, like that. And then I've got two branches here. They're both nice branches. I'll definitely shorten this one. I'm going to shorten it back to here. And this one over here, I'm going to take this one comes straight out the front. It's a bit of an eye poker. I'll take it off. And then I've got this one comes up, divides from 1 into 3. I don't want the one that's going back towards the center of the tree, so I'll take that one out, like that. Which leaves me coming up, dividing into 2. Now, I'm going to prune this one back very short to here, and this one back to here, making it more compact. So that's got the front of the tree kind of fanning out nicely, looking good. Now, I'm coming towards the back of the tree. I've got a branch here that divides into 2, almost where it comes off the trunk. I'll prune this one back to here. Take this leaf off the top. These are indoor leaves, you can tell by how large they are, and they're kind of yellow. They don't look the greatest, but... So that's got this branch pruned up. Now, off this branch I come up, I divide into 2 up here, and again I have some growth kind of coming towards the center of the tree. Now I do need, something vertical in the center. So in this case I'm going to keep the one out the back, and I'm going to prune this one off, like that. Maybe keeping this one. This one, you can see I pruned it off here, and I've got new growth going vertical there. This vertical growth is kind of useless. I don't want it, so I'm going to take it right off. I don't want shoots sticking straight up. And then the one coming out the back is getting quite long, so I'm going to prune it back to here, like that. So it kind of leaves me, this trunk line is fairly vertical, and so is this one. And I've got to decide, do I like that? So this is the front of the tree you're looking at now. The present front, anyway. I don't like these two. They're not fanning out. They kind of cross back on the tree. I think I'm going to take that out, and maybe that entire branch. I don't like the fact this branch is absolute vertical. If it was on a bit of an angle, it would look good. So I'm going to take it right out. So here I go. Big cut coming up. Just like that. So let's have a look at it now. Yeah, that looks better. It's flatter. Everything's kind of spreading out. Looks more like a African Baobab. Okay, so that's the pruning done. Next, I'm going to scar up the trunk some more. Let's look at the old scars first. So where I went really deep, I think that's fresh mealy bugs. I've got some white cotton-like stuff on the inside. Before I get too far, I am going to spray the tree and get rid of all these clippings I took off. Here's a look at what I took off the Jade today. A fair amount of pruning. Quite a bit, actually. Considering, you know, I pruned this not too long ago. It's undergone a few good prunings now. And it gets better and better each time I prune it. Here's an update to the ant situation. So there's a lot of ants running around the rim of the pot here, looking for a way to get away from the pot and find food. But there's no way of getting out. It's all surrounded by a moat of water. So yeah, I'll have to see what happens. I mean, they can't live forever in the pot here without any food. My next step was to spray the tree. I have some webbing in there, so I'm spraying it with soap and water. This is just the dishwashing soap, 40 parts water to 1 part dish soap, and it's a kind of soap you use for hand washing dishes. So I'm just spraying it all over the tree, and that will kill pretty well any insect. Have to be a pretty tough insect to survive the soap and water. So I'll let that sit for a few minutes and then I'll thoroughly rinse it off, and rinsing the soil out too. I've left the Jade sit for a few minutes and now it's time to rinse it off. So here I go. It's time now to look at the scarring on the trunk. So where I went deep, you can see it kind of rounded over and healed nicely. Where I scratched just the surface, it kind of bulges out. So the healing was a little, it swells up when it heals. So you need to go quite deep in order to get like a concave groove in the trunk. I'm just peeling off some of the bark now. Yeah. Some more of those mealy bugs in there. Or webbing. I'll just give that another spray of soap and water in there. Make sure I get in that crack. Yeah, but overall, I think it was quite successful. Now, you can see that, well, there's a bug crawling around on the tree. Let me see if this soap and water kills it. It should. Well, I don't see anything crawling around now. Hopefully that's got all the insects. Anyway, so now you can see you can see the stripes of the scarring, which I don't like. I want the whole trunk to kind of look kind of like my Portulacaria afras, where the whole trunk is scarred up, not just, you know, where you can see the bark in between the scars. So what I have to do is I have to scar up the rest of it. And on these ones I'm going to go light, because I want it to bulge out here. So I'm just going to make some light vertical scarring down the trunk here. Not too heavy. And I'll put 2 stripes on here. Go a little higher up. So that is a pretty heavily scarred trunk now. Oh my goodness. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. I think that's enough scarring for now. Yes. All right, so that's a look at the trunk of the tree. Wow. Is that ever scarred up now? I did a lot of work on this Jade today, scarring up the trunk, pruning it, pretty well defoliating it. I think it's really going to show, and I think it'll be more impressive in the future when all these scars heal and it becomes silver once again, the trunk, and it's smooth. All this bark will flake away, this papery kind of bark. And yeah, it should look quite nice. It should look a very interesting jade. So I'm looking forward to the future of this tree. The next succulent tree I'll be working on today is this jade here. This is a cutting off the top of the arm-sized jade. The arm-sized jade had trunk rot and it just started rotting from the bottom up. So I cut off the top, planted it as a cutting, and this is it today. As you can see, it's grown, quite tall without any sub-branching and without any much movement. And there's some taper here, but not a whole lot. So today I'm going to prune it back quite short, making a smaller tree and then growing a new branch structure. All right, here I go with the pruning. So I've got a lower branch down here. I'm going to keep it for now. So I'll prune it halfway between this segment off to there. And then my trunk comes up and divides into two. So I think I want one as a taller trunk and the other as a shorter trunk. So my tallest trunk, I was thinking of cutting it right here. So here I go, halfway through this segment, like that. And then the shorter trunk, I'll go halfway through the segment. So it's just sort of one segment shorter, like that. So that makes a much smaller jade plant. So I should get new branching coming out at these segment points somewhere. I'm not sure where. It's kind of, I don't see any leaf scars. It's so old. But I should get a nice little compact tree. Now this tree is quite dry. I'm just going to give it a bit of water. Even though it has no leaves, I think it was, really dry. That should do. Okay, back onto the bench. In the full sun it goes. Julian and I have got the truck hooked up to the trailer. So we backed it up, got the connection on here. So now we're going to try and see if it moves. I'm not sure if it will. I don't know if I'll get enough traction in this kind of soft soil after the rain. But here goes. Going into first gear. Here we go. Did it move at all? It moved it. A little bit? Yeah. I lost traction there. Yep. Here we go again. We did more digging around the Porsche, so now here is try number 2. We did a lot of digging under the suspension of the trailer, so now the trailer bounces a bit. I think that'll help. Here goes try number 3. Here is a look at how deep it was sunk in. I still have to get this tire up over the pit. dragging the back end on the ground here. Over here, we've got, yeah, quite a, it's really sunk in. This side's up and out. It's just the other side. Okay, well, there's the little ducky.
Yeah, I don't wash my hands.
He's helping out.
I know, it's very sticky, wasn't it?
These mud tires on the truck are getting really good traction. Unbelievable, in fact. It can really pull with these tires. After much maneuvering, I have the Porsche where I want it here. So there's enough room to get it off the back of the trailer here. And we're going to try and put some kind of a little, one of those tent garages there, so it can be worked on in there. So there's the trailer. The truck's separated now. Julian took the truck for a ride. First time he's ever driven it. He said it was kind of cool. So, yeah, I've got everything back to normal. The matrix is back in the driveway. The Micra's still out on the street there. I remembered that the wheel on the front here, you pull this pin out and it pivots back. So I was dragging it for most of the way, which was not good. But yeah, everything else went pretty smoothly. There's a shot of the Porsche. What a cool car.
Well, Succulent Sunday kind of turned into Porsche Sunday. It was nice getting that car out. On the license plate, the sticker says 1993, so it's been 30 years since that car's been on the road. I don't know where the time goes. It's amazing. That is all for this Succulent Sunday. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.